All right, so I'm going to make it abundantly clear. I'm not here defending Diddy. I am here because I got dragged into this because somebody asked me a question and I had an opinion. Nobody's wrong for giving an opinion about any subject, period. I'm not here defending Diddy. Don't let the narrative fool you or get to you. Once again, somebody's creating narratives. This is my point. So please look at the whole clip that I did and then look what happens with the narrative. And that's what I'm telling you. Y'all people don't be sheep. Use your brain, use your freedom of thought, your freedom of speech, and don't ever let nobody bully you. Never. Don't let nobody bully you. You got me? Love. Now back to trolling this troll.
What do you think about the back and forth between 50 and Marlon Wayans?
Marlon got his own opinion, just like everybody got, and he's gonna say whatever he want to say. But when you know somebody got a beef with somebody, unless you want to be a part of that beef or take a part of that, why you gonna get involved in it? But for Marlon to put out AI-generated clip against 50 in the hot tub with Puff, that's something whole different, bruh. But he said, oh, since 50 trolling, I'm a troll. Have that same energy when you see that man. Keep trolling when you see that man.
Hey, Marlon, have you seen that the documentary, the 50 Cent?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
For Diddy?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, man, you working
Everybody
hard.
telling me you got to see it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Probably don't want to see it.
You probably don't.
Because it's all skewed, man. Like when you put stuff together, you create whatever narratives you want to, and at the end of the day, everybody being programmed. You know, right now the man's serving time.
Right.
You know, he went before the court. The court said this, and everything is God. But God said this is what he got to do. He got to do 5 years in pen.
It all began with a short comment. There was no threat in it, no direct insult, just a response that seemed harmless at first, but ended up setting everything off. Someone asked Marlon Wayans about 50 Cent's new documentary focused on Diddy. That single question pulled Marlon into a situation that was already tense and full of controversy. His answer sounded calm and controlled. He said he hadn't even watched the documentary and admitted that part of him didn't want to. He explained that it didn't feel right to criticize someone who was already dealing with serious problems. In a different situation, that response might have passed without much reaction. But this wasn't a normal moment. This was happening while people were re-examining power, silence, and accountability around Diddy. Because of that timing, Marlon's words didn't come across as neutral online. Many people took them as him defending the wrong side. Once 50 Cent noticed the comment, there was no going back. When 50 feels challenged, he doesn't explain himself or try to clear the air. He sends a message instead, and what followed turned the situation from light online banter into something much more serious. Everything unfolded in public view. 50 didn't sit down for an interview. He didn't release a statement. He went straight to Instagram, a space where he has built a reputation for applying pressure through humor. Rather than arguing about the documentary, he posted an image of Marlon in one of his movie roles and added a caption telling him to stop mentioning his name. On the surface, it looked like a joke, but longtime followers understood what it really meant. This wasn't just humor, it was a warning. A signal that once 50 focuses on someone, he doesn't let it go easily. Marlon had the option to ignore it. Many people would have, but he chose to respond. That decision changed everything. He replied with his own post, completely shifting the tone. He brought up ideas like karma and right versus wrong. He suggested that making fun of someone during their lowest moment eventually comes back around. He framed the situation as a bigger issue, saying black men should not be tearing each other down. He positioned himself as someone standing on principle. But online audiences didn't accept that explanation either. To many viewers, it no longer looked like Marlon was simply sharing an opinion about a documentary. It felt like he had picked a side. And once that happens, 50 Cent never holds back. He pushed harder. Not long after, 50 began reposting older video clips. These weren't random moments. They were interviews where Marlon himself talked about attending Diddy's parties over the years. In those clips, Marlon laughed about it, made light jokes, and said he never witnessed anything strange. He claimed he usually left early and never saw the kind of behavior people were now talking about. Those clips spread quickly across social media. Because context matters. What once sounded like casual Hollywood talk suddenly felt different. The tone felt heavier and more questionable. especially with new discussions around private gatherings, strict agreements, and long-standing rumors that had stayed hidden for years. When people heard "I left early," they didn't focus on the early part. They focused on the fact that he was there. Once that idea took hold, Marlon no longer controlled how the story was being told. He went back online to try to clear things up. He stressed that he wasn't defending Diddy. He said he only answered a question and shared his personal view. He tried to shut down the assumptions before they grew any bigger. But by then, the conversation had already moved past him. Once social media senses weakness, it doesn't wait for proof. People started searching through the past. Old interviews resurfaced. Blind gossip items from the early 2000s were shared again. Long-forgotten rumors were pulled back into the spotlight and connected into new theories. None of it was confirmed. None of it was verified, but that didn't slow anything down. This is where the situation became risky. According to people close to 50, his posts weren't meant as jokes. They were warnings, quiet ones, the kind that don't say names directly, but make the target understand what's being suggested. That's when talk about tapes began to circulate. At first, it wasn't out in the open. It showed up in whispers, screenshots, and insider claims. Some said 50 might have access to footage from Diddy's private events. Footage never meant for the public. Footage that could destroy reputations without anyone needing to explain a thing. No evidence appeared, no video was released. Still, the idea alone shook the conversation. In Hollywood, fear doesn't come from what people see. It comes from what they believe might exist. Around that time, people noticed another change. Marlon's tone shifted. The humor disappeared. His responses became sharper and more guarded. Words related to legal action started showing up. There were mentions of lawsuits and warnings about crossing lines. To the public, that didn't look calm. It looked like panic. Not guilt, panic. And online, people rarely separate the two. One question started repeating everywhere. If there's nothing to hide, why react this way? That question drove everything that followed. People also noticed how different the two men appeared. 50 wasn't shouting or explaining himself. He wasn't defending his actions. He looked relaxed, almost confident, like someone who felt fully in control. That contrast mattered, because online, confidence often shapes belief. And 50 had plenty of it. Meanwhile, Marlon was being pulled into theories he never asked for. Past friendships, old industry jokes, party culture stories that had once been brushed off as normal Hollywood behavior suddenly felt serious under the current spotlight. Even his past statements supporting the LGBTQ community were dragged into the discussion. Some people defended him, pointing to his family and personal life. Others twisted those same comments into something else entirely. Not because new facts came out, but because the environment had changed. And in moments like this, perception becomes stronger than truth. At this point, the situation was no longer about what was true or false. It had shifted into something else entirely. It became about how things looked. And on the internet, appearances move much faster than facts ever can. One post captured the mood perfectly. It said, Marlon never should have brought up 50's name in the first place. According to that view, he stepped into a conflict that wasn't his and paid the price for speaking at the wrong time. The idea was simple. The moment he talked, neutrality stopped being an option. That opinion didn't stay small. Thousands of people echoed it. For many watching, this was not about protecting someone who was already facing trouble. It was about responsibility. And in moments filled with tension like this, staying quiet often feels safer than offering commentary. Silence can be read as caution, while words can be twisted into intention. By then, the situation had completely moved past humor. This wasn't about movie jokes or playful teasing anymore. It wasn't about memes or laughs. It had turned into a quiet face-off between two powerful figures, with the public watching closely to see who would make the next move. What made it even more unsettling was how little had actually happened on the surface. Nothing had been released. There was no video, no leaked footage, no hard proof placed in front of the public. All that existed was the suggestion that something might exist. And strangely enough, that was enough. Many people believe the damage was already done without anything concrete ever coming out. Because in today's world, fear doesn't always need evidence. Sometimes, the idea of exposure can hurt just as much as exposure itself. Now, Marlon finds himself in a difficult position. Every old interview is being replayed. Every joke he ever made is being viewed through a new lens. Clips that once felt harmless are now being questioned. Fair or unfair, this is the reality of public conflict in a time where nothing truly disappears from the internet. On the other side, V appears almost untouched by the chaos. His posts feel relaxed, sometimes even amused. He doesn't look rushed to explain anything. He doesn't seem pressured to defend himself. He moves as if nothing serious is happening at all. That difference speaks loudly, because when one person looks calm and the other looks reactive, the public tends to fill in the gaps on its own. This situation isn't really about Diddy anymore. That part faded into the background a while ago. What this is truly about now is control. Control over the story. Control over how events are remembered and interpreted. It's also about timing, about what happens when someone chooses to speak during a moment when silence might have offered protection, about how quickly humor can turn into threat, when pride gets involved and the internet decides someone looks suspicious. And now, everything feels like it's paused. People are waiting. They're waiting to see if 50 actually follows through on what he's hinted at. Waiting to see if Marlon moves forward with legal action. Waiting to see whether this fades quietly or blows up into something that can't be undone. If those rumored materials truly exist, then this goes far beyond gossip. It becomes something much bigger. It becomes exposure. But even if nothing exists at all, the fear alone may have already caused lasting damage. Either way, one thing is obvious. This stopped being funny a long time ago, and whatever comes next won't be treated like a joke. The real question now isn't whether this conflict will calm down, it's whether it even can. Once words are spoken and suggestions are made, there's no way to erase them. What began as a simple opinion quickly turned into a public standoff where silence feels heavier than explanations. One side appears relaxed, almost entertained by the chaos. The other seems trapped in a cycle of clarifying, correcting, and reacting. And that imbalance is exactly why people remain locked in. What makes the entire situation uncomfortable is the lack of solid proof. No confirmed footage, no official statements backed by evidence, just the idea that something could be out there. And in today's culture, that idea alone can shake reputations. Doubt doesn't need proof to spread. This whole moment also serves as a reminder. Not every conversation needs a response. Some situations grow the moment you step into them. The internet doesn't weigh intent carefully. It reacts to perception, and perception moves fast. Now it's your turn. Do you think this all fades away quietly, or does it end with something coming out that changes everything? Share your thoughts below. And if you want more breakdowns like this that stay clear, focused, and ahead of the story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. More updates are on the way, and you won't want to miss what happens next.